Hello. In this practice, we're going to start on our backs. So just if you're sitting cross-legged, uncross your legs. Have your feet flat on the floor with knees bent and roll onto your back. Heel toe your feet wider than your hips, so almost as wide as the mat. And now let the knees roll together so your knees are supporting each other. And have your arms by your side with your palms facing up. You can have your eyes open if you wish, but if you do, maybe soften the gaze, or you can close your eyes here. We'll be here for a few minutes, so let the weight of your body relax fully into the mat. Just breathe. So as I think of New Year's resolutions, think of things I want to change or reinforce. Thinking of good habits and bad habits. Letting go of some, reinforcing others. One practice that really helps me look at this objectively, it's called Satya. It's one of the Yoga Sutras. And Satya is all about truthfulness. And it's about being true in our actions, in our emotions, and in our words. And in order to be completely truthful, we also have to live life without a filter. And filters can be a result of past experiences, can be results of our emotions. But it's about recognizing these filters and emotions and letting them go. And then seeing the situation for exactly what it actually is, rather than what we imagine or what we might feel it is. So, our practice today is to practice with truthfulness, with Satya, to be really truthful and think about what are some of my strengths? What traits do I want to really reinforce this year and carry on? Maybe you're really good at planning or organizing or carrying through on things. Maybe you're really good at listening and feeling what's happening for real. Might be something completely different. But whatever it is, think about a couple of traits that really work well for you. And accept that and embrace that. And if you're doing so and traits come up that you want to release that are maybe not helpful, maybe practice letting them go. So just take another couple of breaths here. Be really truthful with yourself. The mat is a very safe place to practice this. Now slowly, as you're laying on the mat, hug your left knee into your chest and gently squeeze your knee into your chest. You can either keep your right leg bent right where it is, or if it feels right, straighten the right leg, press the right leg into the mat and draw the left knee into the chest. And now slowly switch sides. Hug your right knee into your chest, left foot either on the floor with your knee bent, or maybe straighten the left leg, whatever feels best for you. And even here, practice Satya. Be honest with what really feels best in your body and honor that. Do what feels right, not what you think you should do. And then slowly make your way up to a seated position. And come in to a cross-legged position. If it's more comfortable for you, sit on a block or a pillow, something to elevate just your hips, and breathe. Bring your arms to your side. As you inhale, reach your arms up over your head. Turn your palms out. As you exhale, lower your arms. Inhale, lift. And exhale, let it go. Another time, inhaling up. And exhale, release. So we're going to practice a breathing technique called Dirga breath. It's a very safe breath. Anybody can do it. As you inhale through your nose, inhale right up into your belly and continue to inhale, filling up your rib cage. And finally, on the same inhale, a few more sips filling up your chest. And then exhale, let it go. It's called a three-part breath, or think of a three-part wave, inhaling in three parts. Again, inhale, filling up your belly. Continue to inhale, filling up your rib cage. And finally, your chest. And exhale, release. Inhale, filling up your belly, your rib cage, your chest. And exhale. Inhale, fill up the belly, rib cage, chest, and release. One more time, filling up the belly, rib cage and chest, and exhale. Slowly let your left ear lower towards your left shoulder. Let your right shoulder feel heavy away from your right ear. Let the weight of your head lower towards your left ear. Just breathe into the stretch. And now turn your head towards the left, just on the mat beside you. And you can either keep your left hand on your knee or rest your left hand on the mat. Breathe through the stretch. And slowly come on back to center. And now let your right ear lower towards your right shoulder. Let your left ear feel heavy away from you. Again, just breathe into the stretch. And now turn your gaze to the right. So you're looking at the mat beside you on the right. Still your right ear is lowering towards your right shoulder. And breathe. Right hand either on the mat or stays on your knee. And slowly make your way back to center. Bring your hands behind you. Uncross your legs and take your feet wider than hip distance apart, almost as wide as the mat. Let your knees roll to the left. Then come on back to center and then over to the right. And back to center and the left. And then the right. And then back to center. And now just swing your feet behind you and come on to all fours, coming into tabletop. So start with your knees directly below your hips and wrists directly below your shoulders. If you need, if this is uncomfortable at all on your wrists, walk your hands forward a bit. And also try to press into the mat with your knuckles and fingertips, taking some of the weight out of your wrists. As you inhale, lower your chest and belly towards the mat. Really think about tilting your pelvis and looking up, really opening your chest. When your body wants to exhale, round your back, reach your spine towards the ceiling, let your hips and head lower. And just stretch here. Inhaling, arch your back, looking up. And exhale, round your back. Keep moving through at your own pace. Even here, notice how this feels on your body. And think about Satya. Think about honestly thinking about how it feels in your body, not how you think it should feel or how it actually feels. And breathe. And then come to a neutral spine. Just stay where you are. I'll just show you how it looks from another angle. From here, let your hips roll to the right. So your hands and knees stay where they are, but your hips just hang out. You can move your hips forward or back to find just the right spot to get a nice stretch on that right hip. And come on back to center and let your hips roll to the left. Maybe moving your hips forward and back to find just the right spot. And then back to center. Now if you don't have any props, you don't need them for the next pose, but if you have a bolster or a block, you can use one, but it's really not essential. We're coming into a heart opening pose called Anahastasana. It's a lovely yin pose. So starting out in tabletop, walk your hands forward as far as you can reach them. So as far as you can go, and then begin to lower your chest in the direction of the mat. If you can get that far, you can rest your forehead on the mat. But think about opening your chest rather than leading with your head. So for some, it's a very comfortable pose just to do it like this. Now also be mindful that your hips are above your knees. You may want to come forward, but keep your hips back above your knees. And this is where if you have a bolster, for some people, it's comfortable to rest your chest on the bolster, or you can rest your chest on a block. And breathe here. We'll be here for a few breaths. Just breathe into this. Just a couple more breaths. And now if your head or chest are resting on your mat or your bolster, begin to lift them up. Walk your hands back under your shoulders. Tuck your toes. Lift your knees up off the mat and walk your feet forward to your hands. And fold. Now let your spine be straight as you need to. Knees slightly bent. You think about hinging at the hips, leading with the chest as you fold. Now knees may stay bent. Maybe you can straighten one knee then the other. If you have blocks and your hands are not reaching the mat, you can place your hands on a block or two blocks. And if you don't have blocks and their hands are not reaching the mat, another nice option is to cross your arms and let your elbows dangle. Just breathe here. Can you let go? Can you release any tension in your body and let go? Can you let go of any habits that you want to release? Making space for those new habits for the new year that you want to reinforce. Release your hands. Maybe straighten one knee and then the other. On an inhale, come halfway up. So knees may still be bent here, or they might be straight, but you want a nice straight spine, so draw your shoulders back. And breathe. And then slowly make your way up to standing. So have your feet about hip distance apart. And lift your toes up for a second. Make sure your feet are parallel to each other. And now slowly lower each toe to the mat. As you inhale, turn your palms out. Exhaling, reach your arms up over your head. Take a deep inhale here. As you exhale, lower your arms. This time, inhaling, lift your arms up. And exhale, lower. Inhale up. And exhale, release. This time, inhaling, reach your arms up over your head. Take your feet a little bit wider. With your left hand, hold your right wrist. Stretch your right arm up towards the ceiling. Let your hips roll to the right. Bring your hands over to the left side. And back to center and switch sides. Right hand on left wrist. Extend your left arm up. Let your hips roll to the left. Bring your hands to the right. And back to center. And release. So turn and face, come to the front of your mat and feet hip distance apart. Step your right foot straight back behind you. Hands on hips, bend your left knee. Face forward. Have your hips square to the front of the mat and maybe deepen the lunge. Now lower both hands to either side of the left foot and step the right foot back even further and lower that right knee to the mat. So you want to make sure your left knee is above the left ankle or behind it. You don't want it too far forward. You want it back a bit. And now stretch both hips forward. You can have your hands on the mat while you do this. If you're using blocks and it's more comfortable for you, you can place your hands on blocks at any height. But they're not essential. And now walk your hands back, straighten your left leg, really draw that left hip back, and now flex those left toes towards you. And breathe. And then lower your left foot to the mat, bend the left knee, and walk your hands forward again. You can set the blocks aside, both hands on the mat. Tuck your right toes up, lift the right knee up off the mat, and step the right foot forward to meet the left, and fold forward. Again, think about hinging at the hips. You're leading with the chest. If your back is rounding, come up again until your spine is straight. Placing both hands on the mat, Now step your left foot straight back behind you as far as you can reach. Just keeping that right knee above or behind the right heel. And lower that left knee to the mat and stretch both hips forward. Either hands on the mat or on blocks. And breathe. You may feel this stretch on your left hip flexor. You might feel this right on your right outer hip. You'll feel it wherever you're tightest. And breathe. Walk your hands back and straighten the right leg and flex those toes towards you. And then bend your right knee, lower that right foot to the mat, walk your hands forward, tuck your left toes under, lift the left knee up off the mat, step the left foot forward, maybe 5 or 6 inches and over to the left, and on an inhale, reach your arms up over your head. Maybe deepen the lunge. Check that your right knee is pointing in the same direction as your right foot. Bring your hands to your heart and lean forward. And now twist to your right. Place your left elbow on the outside of your right knee and twist. Maybe straighten that left leg. And come on back to center. Lower both hands to the mat. Step the left foot forward to meet the right. And now step the right foot straight back behind you. On an inhale, reach your arms up over your head. Maybe deepen the lunge. Option to straighten the right leg. Bring your hands to your heart. Lean forward. And now twist to the left, placing the right elbow on the outside of the left leg and twist to the left. And breathe. Come on back to center. Lower both hands to the mat. Bend the right leg and step the right foot forward to meet the left and fold. Inhaling, come halfway up. As you exhale, fold forward. Inhaling, come all the way to standing, reach your arms up over your head. Bring your hands to your heart and release. So for this next pose, if you have blocks, just have them handy by your feet on either side of your feet. And if you don't have blocks, I'll show you some options. So start with your feet hip distance apart. So feet parallel to each other, hip distance apart, you're standing. Step your right foot straight back behind you. Hands on hips, have your hips square to the front of the mat. Straighten the left leg. Right toes are pointed out at a 45-degree angle. Left foot straight ahead. Draw your left hip back. On an inhale, think about reaching the crown of your head towards the ceiling. As you exhale, send your hips back, lead with your chest and fold. Stop as soon as your back starts to round. So you might be able to go further with a round back, but come back up. Nice straight spine. So if you're using blocks here, you go as far as you can. You can grab the blocks and play with going a little bit deeper at any height. If you're not using blocks, you can just keep your hands at your hips. Or for some, you might reach the floor. And breathe. In Parsvattanasana, any version that's right for you. Slowly come on back up. Bend your right knee and bend your left knee and step your right foot forward. So again, feet hip distance apart. They start out parallel to each other. Step your left foot straight back behind. Left toes pointed out at a 45-degree angle. Hands on hips, draw your right hip back, left hip forward. So you're squaring your hips and your shoulders to the front of the mat. You're facing forward. Both legs are straight. Inhale, lengthen your spine. As you exhale, send your hips back, lead with your chest, and fold forward. Breathe here. Either keeping your hands on your hips, or if you're using blocks, place your hands on the blocks, or maybe for some on the mat. And the blocks can be at any height that you like. Just keep your spine straight, lead with your chest, draw that right hip back. And come on back up, bend your right knee, and step your left foot forward to meet your right. So start with your feet hip distance apart. Bring your arms in an L-shaped position, so palms facing each other, elbows are shoulder height. Bring your elbows and palms together, and then lower your left elbow and cross it under your right. Either staying here. If you have some issues with your shoulders, just place your hands on your shoulders with your elbows crossed. If your shoulders feel good, from here turn your palms together and clasp your hands. And now place the sole of your right foot flat on the mat and cross your left foot in front of your right, either resting your left toes on the mat or tucking your left toes behind you. Bend your standing leg and fold forward. Breathe here. And Garudasana. Slowly make your way back to standing. Uncross your legs and uncross your arms and just circle your shoulders. Go both directions. And come back into cactus arms or L-shaped arms and bring your elbows and palms together. This time cross your right elbow under your left, either placing your hands on your shoulders or turning your palms together and clasping your fingers. Place your left foot firmly in the mat. You can bend your left knee slightly. Cross your right leg in front and over, either staying here or tucking your right toes behind you. Bend your standing leg and fold forward. And then come on back up. Uncross your legs, uncross your arms, and circle your shoulders. So we're going to do a couple of rounds of moon salutations. This is a calming, cooling practice. Imagine your body is gently moving through nice, calm water. Breathe naturally and just flow through this. So start in a standing position, feet hip distance apart. Bring your palms together at your heart. Straighten your arms up over your head. Let your hips roll to the right. Bring your hands to the left. Come on back to center and switch sides, hips to the left, hands to the right. And back to center. Bend your elbows. Arms are L-shaped. Take your feet a little wider. Pivot on your heels and turn your toes out. And bend your knees. Try to have a nice straight spine here. Straighten your legs. Pivot on your toes, so take your heels out so your feet are wide. And straighten your arms. Pivot on your right heel. Turn your right toes out so your right foot is parallel to the long end of the mat. Reach forward with your right fingertips And then lower your right arm down and let your left arm come up. Just breathe naturally. Slowly make your way back up and lower your arms. Pivot on your left heel and turn your left toes out towards the front and heel toe your right foot out to the right. Facing your hips and shoulders are now parallel to the one end of your mat. Send your hips back, keep your spine straight and fold. Now bend your right knee. Lower both hands to the mat on either side of your right foot and step your left foot back a little further. Bring both hands to the inside of your right foot. Pivot on your feet and turn to the side. Right knee is bent. Left leg is straight, but press that left foot into the mat. Walk your hands back to center. Now bend your left knee and walk your hands over to your left foot, pressing your right foot into the mat. Turn and face the other end of your mat. Left leg is bent, right leg is straight. Step your right foot forward, maybe 5 or 6 inches. Pivot on the toes and turn the heel in and straighten your left leg. Come on up to standing. So now have your right foot pointed straight ahead, left foot pointed out to the side. Bring your arms out to the side. Reach forward with your left fingertips. Go as far as you can. Let your left arm come down and reach your right arm up. And breathe. Make your way back to standing. Pivot on your left heel, bring your left toes in and adjust your feet so they're side beside each other, but wide-legged stand. Bend your elbows, palms together. Pivot on your toes and bring your heels in. And bend your knees. Nice straight spine. Elbows back. Straighten your legs. Bring your toes in so your feet are parallel. Straighten your arms, hips to one side, hands to the other. Back to center and the other side. Back to center, hands to your heart. And release. So we'll go through that again, the moon salutations. So just do it without a filter. Move through honestly. Do what your body needs. Don't overdo it, but don't underdo it either. And just observe what's really going on truthfully and see where, notice where things you want to reinforce that you're good at, and notice things you might want to let go of. So bring your hands to your heart and breathe. Bring your arms up over your head. Let your hips roll to one side, hands to the other. Back to center and the other side. Back to center. Bend your elbows, come into cactus arms or L-shaped arms. Pivot on your heels and turn your toes out and bend your knees. Nice straight spine, sit back, elbows back. Straighten your legs, straighten your arms, pivot on your toes and send your heels out. Pivot on your right heel, turn your right toes out towards the side. Reach forward with your right fingertips. Lower your right arm down, let your left arm come up. Come on back up to standing. Lower your arms, pivot on your left heel, turn your left toes in and face the end of the mat. You can heel toe your right foot out to the right so you can balance. Hands on hips. Draw that right hip back, left hip forward. Hinge at the hips, lead with the chest, and fold forward. Bend your right knee, place both hands on the mat, and step your left foot back. Bring both hands to the inside of the right foot. Pivot on the feet and turn to the left. Bending that right knee, pressing that left foot into the mat. Walk your hands to center. Bend your left knee and let your right leg straighten. Turn and face the other end of the mat. Step your right foot forward and over to the right. Pivot on the right toes, lower that heel to the mat, and straighten your left leg. Come on up to standing. Pivot on the right heel and turn the right toes out towards the front. Bring your arms out to the side. Reach forward with your left fingertips. When you've gone as far as you can, let your left arm come down and reach your right arm up. Breathe. Come on back up to standing. Pivot on that left heel and bring the left toes in. Adjust the feet so they're parallel to each other. Bend your elbows, palms facing each other. Pivot on your toes and bring your heels in and bend your knees. Straighten your legs. Straighten your arms. Just bring your toes in so your feet are parallel. You can heel toe your feet a little bit closer. Hips to one side, hands to the other. Back to center. And the other side. Back to center. Bring your hands to your heart. And release. So come to the front of your mat. If you do have blocks or something as a substitute, grab whatever you're using. If you don't have blocks, you can place your hand on the mat. So face the front of your mat, but come to about the middle of the mat or so. And now walk your feet over to the right side of the mat and take the block in your left hand. Fold forward and place the block in front of your left foot with your left hand, and then move the block over to the left. If you're not using a block, you can place your hand on the mat, bend your knees as much as you need to, and over to the left. Place your right hand on your right hip. Straighten your right leg out behind you and flex your right foot. And now stack that right hip over the left, so you're opening your hip and facing the side. Can you get the foot any higher? At any point during this pose, you've reached your limit, just play with that, and then when you're ready, you'll go to the next step. And maybe lift the right arm in Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Slowly lower your right hand to your right hip and lower the right foot back down. And come on up to standing. And so now, if you're using a block, take the block in your right hand and move over to the left side of your mat. I'll switch sides so you can see what I'm doing. So you take the block, or just place your arm out in front. If you need to, bend your knees. And place the block in front of your right foot, and then over to the right. It's a lot easier to do this pose if your right foot and block are kitty corner to each other, so they're on an angle. Place your left hand on your left hip. So maybe for this pose, right here, you just play with lifting your left foot up off the mat. Or when you're ready, straighten your left leg behind you, keep that left foot flexed, and then stack that left hip over the right, lifting the left leg up as much as you can, and draw that left shoulder back. Maybe stay here, or reach your left arm up over your head. In Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Just breathe. And lower your left hand to your left hip. And lower your left foot back down to the mat. And fold forward. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Let your head, your shoulders go. Maybe straightening one leg and then the other. Inhaling, come halfway up. As you exhale, fold. Place both hands on the mat. Lower both knees to the mat. Point your toes so you come onto the tops of your feet and lower your hips to your heels. Stretch your arms forward and either rest your forehead on the mat, or you can cross your arms, resting your forehead on your forearms. And take a couple of breaths here in child's pose. And place your hands on the mat. And come to a seated position. And bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees be wide. So you can start with your hands behind you. If by doing this your back is still really rounded, place your hands behind you. Try to straighten your chest. You may have to have your hands back here. You can also sit on a block. Elevating your hips sometimes makes us more comfortable. And if you can do so while keeping your spine straight, reach your hands forward and grab your ankles and send your chest forward. Option to place your elbows on your knees and breathe here. Can you even practice this pose without a filter? Practicing Satya, truthfulness. What is really going on? Is your spine actually straight? Maybe come up a bit, play with it, shoulders back, chest forward, and breathe. Just notice what's really happening in your body in this pose. And then slowly come on back up. Straighten your right leg out to the side and bring the sole of your left foot to the right inner thigh. Reach your left hand behind you on the mat. Roll onto your left knee and lift your hips right up off the mat. Reach your right arm up over your head and back behind you. And breathe here. Slowly lower your hips back down to the mat. And now bring your legs wide apart from each other. Reach under your thighs and internally rotate the muscles on your thighs. Start with your hands behind you, knees flat on the mat, toes pointing straight towards the ceiling, and then send your chest forward. You may keep your hands behind you. That might be enough of a stretch right here, or you can walk your hands forward. Try to keep your spine straight. And breathe. See if you can keep your knees flat on the mat. And then walk your hands back. Bring the sole of your right foot to your left inner thigh. Bring your right hand behind you on the mat. Roll onto your right knee, lift your hips up, and reach your left arm up over your head and back. And breathe. And lower your hips back down to the mat. Now lift your right foot up off the mat and place your right ankle on your thigh above your left knee. Start with your hands behind you. Bend the left leg and place the sole of the left foot on the mat. Push the right knee forward away from you. With your hands, push your chest forward. You might stay here if this is a really good stretch already, or bring the left foot in closer to your left hip. And breathe. Try to relax into the pose with every exhale. Let your body deepen just a touch more into the pose. And then straighten your left leg. Cross your right foot over your left leg and place the right foot flat on the mat. If this is uncomfortable, you can also just keep the left foot to the inside of the straight leg. Place your right hand behind you. On an inhale, reach your left arm up. As you exhale, either draw your elbow past your knee or hug your knee. Lengthen your spine. And as you exhale, twist to the right. In any version that's right for you. And then back to center. Uncross your legs. And now bend your left leg. Keep that left foot flexed and place the left ankle on the right thigh above the right knee. Bend your right knee and place the sole of your right foot on the mat. With your hands behind you, push into the mat and push your chest forward. Open that left knee away from you. Keep that left foot flexed, not pointed but flexed. And if you want to go a little deeper, bring that right foot closer to you and push your chest forward. Breathe here. And now straighten the right leg and place the left foot on the mat on the outside of the right leg so your legs are crossed. Or as I said, if it's more comfortable, you can bring your left foot to the inside of the straight leg. Place your left hand behind you on the mat. Inhaling, reach your right arm up. As you exhale, either draw the elbow past the knee or hug the knee to the chest. Lengthen your spine. As you exhale, twist to the left and turn and look to your left. And breathe here. Slowly come on back to center. Uncross your legs. And make your way onto the mat with your knees bent, feet on the mat. Hug your left knee into your chest, either staying right here as you are or straightening your right leg. And then switch sides, hug your right knee into your chest, either placing your left foot on the floor or straightening your left leg. And breathe. And now hug both knees to your chest, rocking side to side. Maybe circling your knees. And be sure to go both directions. And come back to center. Bring the soles of your feet together and grab either your shins, maybe your ankles, maybe the outside of your feet. Pull your feet towards you and push your knees away from you. See if you can get your hips and lower back flat on the mat. And breathe here in Supta Baddha Konasana. And now gently release your feet and lower your feet to the mat and let your knees come wide. So the soles of your feet are touching, and let your knees open wide away from you. And breathe here. We'll be here for a minute or two. Just breathe. Let the weight of your knees move away from you. Can you relax your hips? Relax your jaw. Can you let go? Just a couple more breaths here. And slowly bring your knees back together and gently hug your knees to your chest. So if you bring your knees in tight, your hips might lift off the floor. But if you let your knees move slightly away from you, you can lower your hips to the heels and rock side to side, getting a nice massage on your lower back. And then gently release your knees. Lower both feet to the mat, keeping your knees bent. Slide your hips over to the left, just a couple of inches, and let your knees roll to the right. Bring your arms out in a T position and turn your gaze to the left, so look over your left arm. If you'd like a deeper twist, you can take your right leg, your lower leg, and cross it over your left. If this is too much, uncross your legs. Let your body relax into the twist. If your legs are crossed, now uncross your legs. Bring your knees back to center and slide your hips over to the right a couple of inches. Let your knees roll to the left and turn your gaze to the right. Either staying here or crossing your lower leg, your left leg over your right for a deeper twist. And see what feels best on your body on this side. Gently bring your knees back to center and straighten your legs. Reach your arms up over your head. And now walk your feet over to the left. Your hips will stay where they are, your shoulders will stay roughly where they are. And now walk your hands to the left. You might get a nice stretch on that right side. With your left hand, you can grab your right wrist and gently encourage it over a little bit more or not. Then walk your feet and hands back to center. And now walk your feet over to the right. Walk your hands to the right. And maybe with your right hand grab your left wrist or not. And stretch the other side. And walk your feet and hands back to center. Let your arms rest by your side. If you want to, grab a sweater or an eye pillow or a blanket, whatever you want for Shavasana, you can do that now. And before we come into Shavasana, just take a couple of breaths to reflect on what habits you want to reinforce and cultivate. What habits you may want to let go of. And really think about it from a place of Satya, truthfulness, without filter. And now release any thoughts that come to mind. Let it go. And now come into stillness. Let the weight of your body rest deeply into the mat. Be supported by the earth. And let go of any tension in your body. Release any thoughts and come into stillness. Softly allow your breath to deepen. Bring movement to your fingers, your toes. Begin moving your arms and legs. Maybe stretching your arms up over your head and stretching your legs. Giving yourself a full deep stretch. And whenever you're ready, roll over to your right side and come up to a seated position. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.